And while Mr. Carney continues his tour of Western Canada, Mr. Poilievre is currently campaigning in Edmonton, and Jagmeet Singh is in Scarborough. Our contributor Wyatt Sharpe attended rallies for both Mr. Poilievre and Mr. Carney and joined us to unpack what happened.
Pierre Poilievre has been attracting really big crowds at some of his rallies, particularly one that I was at in Oshawa, where he held his rally in the Oshawa airport hangar, attracting what the campaign says was 6,500 residents to the Durham region who came out on a Thursday night to see Pierre Poilievre speak. In fact, there was so many people in the audience, in attendance for this rally, rather, again, 6,500 people, that 4 medical emergencies happened throughout the course of that evening. People were really sardined against one another, very packed in towards each other. And so paramedics were on scene at that rally. It had to be stopped a number of times, so much so that even the press secretary for Pierre Poilievre had to stand up on a ladder, giving an X sign in order for Pierre Poilievre to stop the rally. At one point, one of his staffers had went up to him, told him that it was time to stop the rally. So that kind of speaks to some of these behind the scenes that we saw as we were on site at Pierre Poilievre's campaign event. And then, of course, Mark Carney at his rally that I was able to attend the following day that took place in Scarborough. He had a smaller crowd that was in attendance, about 1,800 people, the campaign says, but that's not including the 300 people who were lined up outside. And I think oftentimes a lot of the optics that people talk about and the fact that, Mark Carney at face value didn't have as many people in attendance as Pierre Poilievre doesn't mean that, Mark Carney wasn't able to attract as many people. The Carney campaign gave much shorter notice. In fact, it was just about a day and a half, I'm told by one of the candidates who was there for the Mark Carney campaign event, that they gave notice and asked if that Toronto-based candidate, Evan Solomon, could come and could actually participate at that campaign rally. Whereas in contrast, you saw Pierre Poilievre, where his campaign team was advising residents in kind of the Oshawa and Durham area that there was going to be a campaign rally taking place about 4 or even 5 days ahead of time. And so oftentimes, when you're looking on social media and you see kind of, each of the respective candidates and their teams and their supporters making the argument that they were able to attract more people, it's just kind of, again, a glimpse behind the scenes that not all of that can be taken at face value. And I'll conclude with, in the 2021 election campaign, the People's Party of Canada received some of the biggest crowds, bigger, in fact, than even the Liberals or the Conservatives did. And yet, despite that, they failed to win more than 5% of the popular vote. And their leader, Maxime Bernier, even failed to win his own seat in the Quebec riding of Beauce. So again, speaking to the fact that crowd sizes are not everything. You saw that in the U.S. as well in the most recent presidential elections. Even in the primaries, people like Vivek Ramaswamy, they were able to attract the biggest amounts of crowds. And, of course, Donald Trump still ended up winning that election. So a lot of kind of smaller details that go along with that, but we're going to stay on the campaign trail to keep you posted.